So, as 2024 is approaching, a lot of us we would be applying for study permits to Canada or possibly study visas to Canada. But there are a lot of things you need to put into consideration, and one of them is the approval rate per country or per continent so as to know how to plan yourself. I remember talking to somebody a few days back and informing her that this thing is all about planning. If you really want to get to where you are trying to get to, which is Canada as a destination, then you possibly or probably have to sit up and you do the work. Now, looking at express entry, is it fast to go in? Well, as it stands right now in 2023, which is ending very soon, it's not that easy because of the points. If you take a look at the express entry, the points being selected, it's not that easy. But again, it is the cheapest, right? Excellent. Considering the fact that living cost has been increased for international students, express entry is the cheapest. Now, we don't know what is going to happen next year. There are still no updates yet, but which is the fastest? The study pathway. Now, if you must use the study pathway, you have to first of all consider the fact that there is a $20,635 for living costs. That is non-negotiable. Now, you have to look for your own school depending on tuition. Then after that, you add your tuition fee for your entire program. Then you add your living cost, not the living cost now, but the transportation or miscellaneous, which is equivalent to like $5,000. That is your bank statement. That's a huge amount of money, right? But first, there is something you need to know so that you sit up and do the research, because I always say these things and people don't understand. Let's not waste a lot of time. Now, I'm going to be telling you guys the approval rate per continent, or let me say per country, because I will not go through all the countries are as of 2021. So, though there is going to be an increase, which I'm still going to talk about the video, but it is essential you know this. Now, we look at the charts from what I have here. If you go to IRCC, you are going to verify the same thing. So, countries in Asia came up at the top. That is to tell you that they are approving or giving permits to people who come from the richest countries around the world, right? Now, looking at it, we are not going to be looking at America, thinking that since America is one of the wealthiest places, you are going to find people. No. The richest countries in Asia, which are Japan, South Korea, Singapore, are topping the charts, all right, when it comes to approval rate. And Japan tops the chart with about 99% approval rate, which means that among 100 people who apply for permits, 99% will be accepted in Japan. So literally, Japanese people, you just need to sleep and you get your permits, you move to Canada. Well, a lot of people in Japan, I don't think they have issues. Japan is a very good country. So I think very few people should be moving, right? Yes, that's to tell you that most of them, they do not even apply for this. But the few that applies, they get it at the end. So if you are a Japanese, I'm not saying that if you are living in Japan, I said people who are Japanese by nationality, Japanese people have 99% acceptance rate. Then the second looks to be Singapore. Of course, Singapore is very rich. We all know that. Singapore is the second. And South Korea, of course, South Korea is not really that rich, but Singapore first, all right? But these are the top three in Asia, with Japan topping the chart, second by Singapore and South Korea. Well, there is an approval rate coming from the Philippines. I think among this list, we have the Philippines with 64% approval rate. Well, as what we know, there is going to be an increase, which I'm going to talk about that in another video. So do not forget to watch that one. Now, I will be talking about us, my own continent, Africa, at the end of this video. And I want to move now to Latin America. And I think there are just two countries with excellent scores here. As of 2021, Chile is the first with 91% approvals, all right? Some people actually think that South American countries, they are not rich, they don't have money. Look, Chile is one of the richest countries in Latin America, guys. Yes, go and do your research again. Then after Chile in Latin America with 91% acceptance, we have Mexico with 87% acceptance rate. Now, These are for Latin America. Let's go now to my fatherland, African continent. Well, we have the top 3 in Africa, and I think there are 2 in the top 60, then 1 below 60. Now, let me start with our own people. We have some 2. I was trying to check this thing. Why am I not saying my people? Ghana and Nigeria. Ghana have 18% as of 2021. Then Nigeria has 34%. But Nigeria has more applicants from compared to Ghana, but Nigeria has 34% approval rate. So there are a lot of people living in Nigeria, but it's still not bad. But we keep moving. Okay. Then now let's look at the top person in Africa with the highest approval rate. This is coming from Swaziland. Swaziland has 63% approval rate. And the second is Lesotho. Lesotho has 60% approval rate. These countries I'm giving you, Swaziland, Lesotho, and the last one I'm going to talk about now, which is Botswana. Botswana has 56%. Just go to this country, read a little more. I want you to read a little more. I do not want to explain to you. When you read a little, you are going to see something similar to these 3 people I'm talking about. Yeah. If it's not money, it should be resources or whatever, but just go and check. All right. So you understand. Now, this is the approval rate as of 2021. Well, there is a tendency that permits are going to be increased in 2024. And I think it's true. But one thing first, remember, without you doing the right thing, you are not going to get a permit. A study visa, which of course is going to lead you to a permit. So the first thing first is work on what will lead you to get the permit. Put your finance together, then you apply. Make sure you make the best choice of program. You apply and you put in your application. Hopefully, we are going to get a good acceptance rate. Now, another thing you should be putting into consideration is there are other pathways, but these pathways, are they accessible? Are they easy to get? That is the question. And one of them is the express entry pathway, which leads to permanent residency, where you go through with points. But you have to remember that there are a lot of factors to consider: age, educational credentials, work experience, and a whole lot, IELTS. And at the end of the day, this thing depends on points. So if you think that your points are not going to be good, I will advise you to use the education pathway, the study pathway, if you have the money. It is solely boys, like the only way to succeed with this is if you have money, because you are not going to be like, I didn't have money to show for my bank. No, this thing is all about bank statement, letter of explanation, and proof of funds. And the bank statement is not all about bank statement. You need to explain the funds, where you are getting the funds from. It's very important. So do not forget all these, guys. I'm just here to explain these details to you so you put them into consideration. We are going to be talking about other things in other videos. So see you in another one. Bye bye.